Hey, what's up? Welcome back. Back to the overhead lights today because Snowmageddon's on the way. We're supposed to get a mixture of ice and sleet tonight into tomorrow, and then snow on top of that, so it's all fun and games here in Southern Ohio. But that's not what you're here to talk about, so let's jump into what you are here to talk about. Excuse the background noise, it's a little bit rainy, the tires are louder, the windshield wipers are louder. But let's jump right in. So today's topic we're talking about is bank accounts that you should have. And then I go on to say 10 bank accounts that I have. Yes, I do actually have 10 bank accounts right now. 11 if you count my husband's, but I don't really have access to that one, and nor do I need to. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Bank accounts that you should have. I think a lot of people want to be organized in the new year, right? And a lot of people are looking to build wealth and, make more money in the new year. These are typical goals, typical New Year's resolutions, right? And, by February, everybody's pretty much lost all of their gumption and their motivation for New Year's resolutions. Well, if you've lost motivation, then here is some good news for you, because if you're wanting to get a little bit organized, you can organize your finances in a way that everything is automated. You can do it once, set it up once, and never have to worry about it again if you don't want to. If you're a little more nerdy and hands-on like me, then maybe you do want to keep an eye on it and worry about it from day to day or from week to week, that kind of thing. And that's perfectly okay too. I think it's just a difference in money personalities. And there's a million money personalities out there, so it's a spectrum. If you fall somewhere in between there, somewhere to the right, to the left, it doesn't really matter. You can make this work for you. But a lot of people, I think, don't realize that you can have more than one checking account. You can have more than one savings account, because most people don't, right? Most people have a checking and a savings account, and that's pretty much it, right? And then you're pretty much just left to your own devices to organize the rest. Well, I'm using my bank accounts to help me organize it, and it's just like the envelope system that's made famous by Dave Ramsey. We'll get into that a little bit later. First, let's talk about the framework. I think there are 3 bank accounts that every person should have, at the very least. And that is a main account, which is a checking account, and that's with whatever financial institution that you choose. All of your income goes into here, and all of your bills are automatically drafted out of here. And the reason you do this is to make it easy. If everything's going in here, everything's going out of here, you can see all the transactions in one spot online. If everything is coming out of separate accounts, it really makes it kind of mucky and hard to analyze when you want to analyze where your spending's going. So that's the reason I like having one main account. The second account you should have is your emergency savings account. And if you are in a place where you have some extra cash flow, then maybe you can work it to where the ultimate goal is 10% into your savings. For every dollar that comes in, 10% of it goes into your emergency savings account. And the end goal with this is to have at least 3 to 6 months of expenses in your emergency savings account. And that is just for emergencies. This isn't here to make you money. This money isn't here to spend. It is here just so that you are covered in case of an emergency. It is here to pay those deductibles if, God forbid, a tragedy occurs and you have to tap into your insurance for some reason. It's here to get you that emergency housing until the insurance company can pay, that kind of thing. So you really don't want to spend this money on something that isn't truly an emergency. The problem is, if you're not there yet, and I've been in this position, so I know, if you're not someone who has already set up an emergency fund, the second you start setting that up, you're going to start having emergencies. I don't know what it is, but it just happens that way. It feels like you save $100 and you have to spend $200, and then you save, $200 and you have to spend another $100, and then you save $200 again and you have to spend $300. So it feels like you're fighting an uphill battle for a little while. But trust me, at some point, if you just keep at it, that will go away and you will begin to build a savings account. We just reached $2,000 in our savings account, and we were able to raise our insurance deductibles, which lowered our premiums a little bit. And I think that was an awesome way that we could increase cash flow while still adding to our savings account every time we get paid. Where we like to keep this savings account, in my opinion, an online banking service is what we chose. And I really have been very impressed with their customer service. I've been very happy with their interest rates to give you some perspective, our financial institution, their interest rates are 0.01% annually, and at our online savings account with Ally Bank, the interest rate is 0.5%. If you did the math on that, that's like a 500% return on your money, in increase on your money. So if my money's just going to be sitting in a savings account anyway, I want it sitting somewhere. Even though the purpose of this money is not to make money, I want it sitting somewhere that's going to be more beneficial versus less beneficial. And finally, we chose an online financial institution that was separate intentionally from the institution that we use for our everyday banking. And this is because we can have a bit of a problem with spending money that we can see in our bank account. This financial institution, it sets up a couple of roadblocks for you so that if you do need to tap into it, you can get to your money, but it's going to take a few days for the money to transfer from point A to point B. And that's pretty cool, I think, because you really have to consider whether or not it's an emergency and whether or not you want to transfer that money before you actually do it. And out of sight, out of mind for me, we just keep growing that every single time we get paid automatically, and we don't really have to worry about it. It just stays there until we have need of it. Our next goal for that, just in case you're interested in my personal goals, our next goal is to accumulate 1 month's worth of expenses. So we're at $2,000. 1 month's expenses would be $3,500 for us, right about there. So that's my next goal. And then after that, it would be $5,000, and then 2 months worth of expenses. I just like to take little steps because I feel like it gives me something attainable to work toward, and it keeps me motivated. So that's just me. The third kind of account that everybody I think needs to have is a, what is it? Let me look at my notes. The third account is an investing account. So an investing account is a separate bank account, a checking account, or savings account. You can pick and choose what you want, where you set your funds for investing. And this is money only to be used for investing. Now, what you choose to invest in is your own personal business. It really depends on who you are and what you like. If you know a lot about real estate, maybe you want to get into rental houses. That's what I plan to do someday. If you have a business you're working on, we're doing that right now. We plan to invest in our business. The thing I would add is, like your emergency savings, maybe you want to keep it a little separate if you're like us, because there have been several times recently where we've tapped into that, and I really feel like if we kept that separate in a separate institution, that it would be less easy to do that. And I think in the future that's what we'll do. But 15% of every dollar that comes in should go to investing if you have the cash flow. Now, this is called personal finance for a reason. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And if you're not in that place, and I've been at a point where I don't have 10% to put in my emergency savings, I don't have 15% to put into investing. So I have to move those numbers around, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So if you have to do that for yourself, no problem. Move those percentages up and down. But the point of having percentages is that when you start making more, which is a goal if you're building wealth, when you start making more, then you'll start saving more, then you'll start investing more. And those percentages allow that to happen. So another important piece is that when you put that 10% or whatever, or 15% into savings and investing, then you want to set that up through your main account to go to those places automatically. And you can do that. Every banking institution has an online ability to set that up. Pretty much none that I've seen don't have that ability. And I think that it's really important to instill that automation piece, because once you set it, you can forget it. And I think there's a really popular infomercial about that. But if you set it and forget it, then you don't have to worry about it. You can do it once and never have to worry about it again. And I think that's awesome. It's like setting up your bills. You know they're going to get paid. You know they're going to be on time. You just have to make sure the money's in there. And I like that. I like that hassle-free aspect, that convenience aspect of it, because it saves me time. And with that time, I can do something that can earn me more money, or I can do something like spend time with my family that I would normally be sitting in front of a computer. And that's valuable to me. So those are the 3 bank accounts that everyone, I think, should have. At least those 3. And that's like, if you think about it like a house, that's sort of like the framework of your house. So the boards, the load-bearing pieces of your house, the roof over the head that protects you and keeps you sheltered, right? And then you have the rooms in your house. And what the rooms do is it allows you to separate spaces for specific activities, like your bedrooms for sleeping, your bathrooms for showering, and your office for working. So you have these separate spaces, and that allows you to designate certain spaces for certain activities. Your bank accounts are much the same. You can open a bank account for anything you wanted to put toward money, or put money toward in your life. And we have several. As I said before, we have 10 bank accounts total, so we have 7 additional bank accounts from those first 3. And I'll go over those in a minute. But I think that it's important to understand that these are completely customizable to you and what your goals and priorities are. So let me go over ours. We have a bank account for my personal money, which is a set amount of money that my husband and I sort of pay each of us each week. It's like an allowance, basically a good job, pat on the back for doing our jobs this week, right? This is money that we get to spend without question, without discretion with each other. We don't have to talk to each other about it. This is our money to spend. It's not a lot, but we don't make a lot right now. So maybe when we make a little bit more, we'll up that a little bit more. But for now, it's auto-drafted into our accounts separately. And I don't have access to his account. He doesn't have access to my account. We're not doing anything shady with this money. It is just money that we get to spend scot-free. And I think that's an awesome idea to have, because we have completely separate money personalities. And where we have to make compromises with our shared accounts, we don't have to make any compromises with this account. It's just our money to spend. We have an account for a slush fund, a guilt-free spending account. If there's something that's coming up, like the next big thing in our lives is coming up, a trip or something, and we're saving for it, that's where we put this money. This is money that we siphon off to use at a later date, after all of our bills have been paid, after all of our discretionary spending has been paid. Then we have a credit card account. So we recently got a credit card so my husband could build his credit. His credit score was very low because he wasn't on our car loans, he wasn't on our house loan, he basically just wasn't on anything, so his credit score had dropped a lot. And he wanted to build that back up in order to get a business loan. Cool, that's a great goal. So he got a credit card, but how do we maintain this credit card? I have this sort of love-hate relationship with credit cards. I know they're kind of a necessary evil, but I'd rather just spend the cash, to be very honest, because to me it can get out of hand very quickly. I've seen it happen before with us, and I've seen it happen to lots of people. And if you are responsible and you can keep track of that, that's cool. But we don't have a lot of cash flow going around. So if there's a screw up, it really hurts us and we feel it. So our solution to this was to set aside another account, and as soon as the money from that credit card was spent, you move that money into the credit card account. That way it's not showing up in your main account, and when the bill comes due for the credit card, it gets taken out of that credit card account. And it's all separated. Like I said, it's rooms in a house. It's separation of activities. We have a Christmas account. How could I forget? So our Christmas account, we start in January, setting aside, that sucks. We start in January setting aside a certain amount of money each and every paycheck for Christmas time the next year. And we base it off of, what we paid in the prior year and how much we wanted to spend. If we thought that was a good amount, if we thought we needed more or less, we just kind of set aside that money every paycheck so that when it comes time to spend for Christmas, the money's already there and it's separate from our account and we're not spending it in our main day-to-day finances. We then have accounts 8, 9, and 10, which are accounts for our kids. We have 3 kids and they each have their own account. This way, when they get money from relatives or for Christmas or birthdays, we can put it into this account. And if there's not anything we want to buy right in that moment, then we just save it for them. Again, it's separate so it doesn't end up mixed with our family finances and our bills and things. And it just helps us to keep track of that a little better. Now, what we like to do is we like to use some of this money for activities. Our daughter's getting a little older and she decided to do ballet the last couple years. She's done gymnastics in the past, and the money that we put into this account helps with that, because yes, it's nice to be able to afford those activities for your kids, but I think it's even better when they have some skin in the game, because then they are responsible for a part of that at least. Stopped at a train, by the way. That's why we're not moving. But yeah, the money could go toward their activities with a match from the parents. We don't really have a set structure for this. We usually pay the fees, but if there's things above and beyond what we would normally buy for this particular activity, like uniforms, or for ballet there's production fees sometimes, and if there's things above and beyond what we can pay in the moment, then it comes out of this account. For our boys, we have bought some toys that they wanted with it, but they're little, so they don't really need or want a whole lot right now, so their accounts are just kind of building up and kind of waiting for things that they want to do, which I think is awesome, because when the time comes and they want to do sports, or they want to do dance, or they want to do whatever it is they want to do, gymnastics, I don't care what it is, we will have some money set aside for them that can help pay for those things they want to do. So that's it. That's our accounts. But there are other accounts you can have. Just, I mentioned earlier, it's like the envelope system that Dave Ramsey has made popular. It's like setting aside money for each and everything. It's as if you had the cash in a separate envelope. And some others that I thought of is you can have a business account. You can have a travel account for specific, specific trips you want to take, or you can have just a general travel account that, like our Christmas account, you just siphon money into every week. It's a priority of yours. You love to travel. Maybe you don't have anywhere destined to go yet, or you are waiting because of COVID, but you just want to add money every single paycheck into there anyway. That's cool. Just have a travel account. That way you have the money waiting when you're ready to travel again. There, you could have a home improvement account. We've done this before, where we decided for a while we were going to make home improvements a priority, and every paycheck we would siphon a little bit of money into a separate account for home improvements. There could be an auto maintenance account in the same vein. We could do birthday presents or birthday party accounts. We kind of don't do this for our kids right now, but we have in the past done this for our kids, where a certain number of weeks ahead of a birthday party, we put a number of money into a separate account for that. And yeah, so it could go on and on and on. Very customizable, very, very personal. And I think that it is a very good system. Start with that framework, then build your rooms, and you come and add the automation to it. Don't forget that piece. Even with your separate room accounts, you can have automation in adding your Christmas funds every week and have it all done for you. And I think it adds up to a lot of time saved. That's the end of my video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please remember to smash that thumbs up button. Send it to someone you liked, someone who could hear this, someone who's looking to be organized with their finances in 2022. And don't forget to leave a comment below on what your accounts look like, what your basic structure is, what works for you, because what works for me may not work for you. I'm just throwing out suggestions there for people who need some sort of ideas on how to get started. But make it your own. And I want to hear about it if you do. That's it for today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.